I
Vision,
think the
Arnold
secret doesn't
Schwarzenegger
matter
motivation.
if you come from a little village or from a big town. There is one thing you have to do, and that is to first of all work your butt off. And number two, you have to have a clear vision of where you want to go. You have to be brave. You have to be tough. Have the discipline to follow through. And it is very important that you don't listen to the naysayers, because in every step of the way, when you make divisions like, I want to be a bodybuilding champion of the world, people say this is impossible. This is in American sports, this never going to happen. When I went on to be in the movies, they say you have an ascent, it's never going to happen. When you have an ascent, everything is always impossible until someone does it. Trust yourself. Break some rules. Don't be afraid to fail. Ignore the naysayers and stay hungry. Let me tell you, I've made a fortune in several careers, and I've been successful in several careers by ignoring the naysayers and believing in myself. Imagine you are 15 years old and you are an Austrian, and you say to the people, I want to be a bodybuilding champion. Of course, they say, but wait a minute, this is not an Austrian sport. Bodybuilding, that's an American sport, but you know something. I had a very clear vision, and I knew exactly what I'm going to do. I wanted to be a bodybuilding champion, and I started training 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day. By the time I was in military service, at the age of 18, I trained for 5 hours a day, and I became the youngest universe ever. I went AFT, or my next goal. I came over here with empty pockets, but full of dreams, full of desire. I knew that this was where I could continue my bodybuilding career and start acting also. Co-ed into acting profession, so immigrated here and I kept training and training hours every day, 5 hours, 6 hours a day, and won one world championship after the other. By the time I was finished, I won 13 titles, more than anyone, and then I was hungry to move on, because you can't do bodybuilding for the rest of your life. I wanted to move on, and that was acting that I wanted to get into. And they say to me, you can't just become an actor in the movies. I said, I don't just want to become an actor, I want to be a leading man. They say, forget about it, and they laugh. I mean, with your accent. No one has ever become a leading man with your accent and with your body. It's Dustin Hoffman. It's all Pacino. Those are the new sex symbols. Don't you understand it? Look at you. Forget it. It will never happen. I can see it already up there. It's not going to sell any tickets. But you know something? I didn't listen to them. I started working very hard, just like in bodybuilding. Everything you can think of, I did. And slowly everything started happening. All those liabilities they talked about, turning into assets. When I did the Conan the Barbarian, the director came to me and said, if we wouldn't have you, we would have to build one. And on the Terminator, the director said, I couldn't imagine to have anyone to play Terminator that wouldn't have an accent, that wouldn't have your body. I can't imagine the line, I will be backed out with a normal American accent. As time went on, I grew and grew, and I went from one movie to the next, started making more and more money, and then I ended up the highest paid actor with $30 million on Terminator 3. That just shows you again, so much it can't be done. This is why I try to tell you anything and everything can be done. Never give up and never be afraid of failure, because otherwise you box yourself in and you limit yourself. I was never afraid to fail when I run for governor. I was never afraid to fail, because you should not be afraid of failure. That's just part of life. Work your ass off. There is no magic pill. There is no magic other. I'm a big believer in there is no such thing as a self-made man, because so many times people say that you are a self-made man. You are the perfect example of the American dream. All these are all great compliments, but the reality is you can call me anything you want, but don't ever call me a self-made man, because I would not be here if I wouldn't have parents, that they were dedicated and gave us the love and the discipline from the beginning. I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't have the help from so many bodybuilders. Joe Wider, that they brought me to America. He brought me to America and gave me the confidence. He paid for the first apartment. Without that, I wouldn't have made it. So how can I say that I'm a self-made man, including when I was governor? I had 5 million people voting for me, and those other people voted for me, helped me to become governor. So this is why I say those are the things that I think were important for me to become successful. It doesn't matter from what village you came from. You have to recognize those are the elements that make one successful. Right away from bodybuilding, when I work out, I didn't just lift for myself. I wanted to lift the entire sport. I always was interested to work on something that's bigger than me, something to be just going around much longer than me. I will be gone one day, but bodybuilding should not be gone. No matter how successful you get, no matter how old you get, you always have to be hungry for learning new things, because you never learn enough. I, for instance, learned when I grew up, I always thought that greatness was directly tied to fame and fortune. I thought that the big career and the money and the achievement will equal success. I was dead wrong, but I learned that later on. I learned totally by coincidence when the university did a research program on what effect weight training would have for Special Olympians, for intellectually challenged people. They called me. They say, "Arnold, you are the expert. Subject. We want you to come up to the university and to help us with our program, help us with our Special Olympians." And I flew up to the university and I helped. And there were these kids. The first exercise we decided to do was bench press, and they were all standing in line. The first kid laid down on the bench. I put a 40-pound barbell over his chest. Then the next one laid down. I put the barbell over his chest. And then the kid started breathing really heavily. And all of a sudden, he started screaming really loud. And he jumped up. I pulled the bar back, and he started shaking. I realized that he was scared of the weight, so I calmed him down. I said, "This is okay. Just watch your friends do the bench press, and maybe you want to try it again." And everyone did a great performance, and then suddenly he stood in line in the end, just 20 pounds, and he did 10 reps. Then I said, "You want to have more plates on it?" "More weight," he said. "Yes." So I put more plates on it. Now he was back to the 40 pounds he had earlier, and he did 10 more reps. Then he said, "More." Then I put 2 more plates on it. Now it was 60 pounds, and he did 10 more reps, and he said Morby did 80 pounds. Then I lifted the weight off, and he jumped up and high-fived everyone, and he was so excited, and it was a real eye-opener for me, because when I saw the kid going from terror to self-confidence in a short period of time. So I want you to remember, have a vision, think big. Ignore the naysayers, work your butt off, and give back and change the world, because if not us, who? Thanks for watching.